Yes, that's right. I think we're going to be going live now, mate. I'm on my Hexi phone, so if I just press the button, we can bring you straight in. How you doing, brother?
Okay, I'm fine. Thank you.
Uh,
How are you?
that's good. I'm glad to see that wooden smartphone still working. That's really cool, man.
Yeah, no, it's always perfect. The connection is always great. Yeah.
There you go, everyone. That is my Hexi phone, and Björn has got his absolutely awesome wooden smartphone. I don't know
Let's
if you
see.
can read what it says on there, but it's absolutely awesome. Here it is. COVID-19 certificated. I can do what I want, or something like that, wasn't it?
Yep, yep.
Oh, dude, it was funny, guys, because Björn and myself was just chatting before we come on live, and I just said to him, "Do you know what? Looking back at 2020, I can't believe how many people fell for that thing, but it did. It's bonkers, isn't it?" So
And they
before we
will
crack
again.
on, yeah, I know they probably will again, but maybe not as many. But we live in hope, eh? We just want to
Mhm.
see before we crack on, boys and girls, is the audio and visual any good? Let me know because I can make changes. We hate to do this live stream if it's really rubbish, so we'll wait for that time lag. I think it's about 5 or 10 seconds or something. So yeah, let's see. Hopefully we can get that confirmation. Here we go. 4x4 fella. Awesome. So we're good. Brilliant. So welcome Björn. How are you going, sir?
Thank you. Now, you should never ask a Norwegian that because he or she will tell you the honest answer. But I realize that what you're just saying that as an English person as a greeting. So I'm not going to give you my life story and all my worries, but I'll just say, "How are you?"
That's good. That's a different culture, isn't it? A different world altogether. So
Yeah.
yeah. So we're all good in the hood, as my old Royal Marine friend used to say. Brilliant. So look at that. We got 250 people just turned up. That's brilliant. And the audio and visual is good. And yeah, what I wanted to talk to our awesome guest tonight was what it's like here on planet Earth at the moment. How bizarre have things become? And but also we have to be quite careful of what we say because of the YouTube terms and conditions, etc. So hopefully we can try and navigate through that maze of BS with strategically placed code words, for example, rather than saying certain things. Because I do believe if certain amounts of keywords are mentioned, it does have some effect somewhere. I'll tell you what we can start off with. I've had an absolute nightmare on my main YouTube channel over the last 6 weeks, maybe 2 months. Something I've never experienced before. And I told my friend about it, and he said, I've been shadow banned. So when you try to sort of research into what actually a shadow ban entails, it's very, very peculiar. I've had people can't use the thumbs up. People can't type a comment. Some people say they can't even see a subscribe button to my channel. Some people who were subscribed go there only to find that they've been unsubscribed or their notification bells been turned off. Um, some people's comments just get removed or vanished, and some people have actually been blocked. Now, have you had similar things on your main channel as well, mate?
All the time. Yeah.
Oh, damn.
Uh, I've heard, or people have contacted me with all those issues except the one where they can't see the subscribe button. That one I haven't heard about before. Not saying it's not happening, but all the other things you mentioned there, especially people not being notified. But now we don't want to get into YouTube technique, the technical stuff here concerning YouTube and how they have changed everything,
Mm,
not sending out notifications and so on. But also people being unsubscribed. That's been a problem
mm.
since well, for a few years now, actually. Yeah.
Gee whiz. It's
Mm.
peculiar because when I look back over, say, from 2 months ago, going back in time, it's not uncommon for myself to get anything between 3 and 20,000 subscribers join every 7 days. Now, over the last 3 weeks, it's actually been minus 11 subscribers over a whole week period. And I've never seen that
Mm.
before. So maybe it's because we've been saying something, or I've been saying something I probably shouldn't. It's very, very difficult. Try to reach a lot of people in this day and age without upsetting some sort of algorithm, as it were.
Yeah, well, there are two reasons, two different reasons why people vanish or unsubscribe from your channel. It's without them knowing themselves, they are being unsubscribed by the fine people in YouTube, or they unsubscribe themselves because they don't want to be subscribed. But it's, whenever I have a nuanced or balanced view of something, um, like I did a video about, I hate this modern phenomenon where, especially young men, they complain about women. I really hate that. And I said basically, well, maybe it's you. Maybe it's you. Maybe you need to improve yourself as a man, And I knew that hundreds would unsubscribe because of that statement. So that's an example of something I knew would happen, and it happened.
Mm.
But it was worth it. But then when you see, like, for instance, if you haven't made a video and then suddenly it just drops, that's YouTube normally.
Yeah, yeah, it's quite concerning because what I've actually done was take a leaf out of your book and a few others as well by creating a separate account so I
Yeah.
can talk about more of this sort of stuff over on there. And
Mm.
if you guys didn't know about it, well, there is a link underneath this YouTube video to a second channel which I started today, and that's called Funky Talks. I know it's original, but when you look at Hugo Talks and Björn Talks and other people, it just makes more sense because we are trying to do our main stuff on our main channels. I mean, myself doing prepping stuff and Björn doing Björn stuff. But lots of people really do seem to be interested on what we have to say, call it social commentary, as it were. So what I've decided to do is to move all of that sort of stuff over to the second channel because I really don't want anything bad to happen to this channel because
Mm.
Björn and myself have been working really hard to grow our channels organically over the years, and
Yeah.
to risk losing all that just because we're talking the truth, as it were, would be a bit of a shame. And the weird thing was, Bjorn, I remember when we chatted ages ago, and what did you say about when you started YouTube? I was the second person you subscribed to. That's awesome, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the first one was actually Mr. Armored Cockroach.
Whoa. Oh,
So I
Mike
went
beat me to
straight
it.
into the prepping niche there for some reason.
Wow, I'll tell him that he'll be truly honoured. And yeah, I remember subscribing to you years back, and it's quite funny because during 2020, my partner was suffering a bit with all of the stress and BS that was going on, and she said, "Here," he said, "Watch this guy. He's got an awesome channel." And when she showed me, I said, "Oh mate, we go back way years ago," and she couldn't believe it. And here we are chatting live right now. It's awesome,
Yeah.
and to meet up on the Bushcraft show was pretty crazy, wasn't it? That was.
Yeah, and this is one of the beautiful things about technology. We're able to meet like this and connect with good people without meeting physically. But then
Mm.
it was awesome to meet you physically at the
Yeah,
bushcraft. So that was great to finally meet you, and also all the other wonderful people there. It kind of, for me, it kind of opened my eyes to what my purpose is. Actually, it was, maybe I did not understand before I went back home, but then it dawned upon me that I actually have a purpose, which is a very humbling experience. And yeah,
Yeah.
it was important to me. And I want to thank everyone who came up to me and said hello. And yeah, because I finally understood a few important things there, I would say. Yeah.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, was that sort of the first sort of bushcraft or outdoors large gathering that you've been to and you've been
Yeah.
known on YouTube?
Yes.
Wow. Yeah. It's quite humbling, isn't it? I know exactly what you mean.
Mm.
It happened to me back in 2012, I think it was. No, 2013, the first bushcraft show that myself, Armored Cockroach, and Maverick Outdoors we went to. And it was the first time I've ever experienced loads of different people come up to me who knew
Yeah.
me, but I didn't know who they were. And it was really freaky. And, but it's very humbling. It is, when you finish an event like that, when you go back and you ponder about what actually happened, it's a lot to process. And I actually really do fundamentally agree with what you said. It's a purpose, and we are helping reaching out to people from all of the stuff that we put out there. And to meet in
Yeah.
person is fantastic, mate. One, it is really good.
It's when people come up to you and they say that I helped them through the lockdown.
Yeah.
That's that really is something, you know. And yeah, then you understand. Oh, okay, maybe I have a purpose here.
Yeah.
So yeah,
And I've been saying this sort of message for years, really. Um, if you do good and you help people in any way that you feel you can, the more that you do that and you follow your heart, your intuition, your instinct, your gut feeling, whatever you want to call it, you are going to be literally creating your own path to walk on then. And
mm,
you've probably had it yourself when you've had emails or messages, whatever it is, from people who watched your videos and they say, oh, I've been in hospital for 6 months, I had cancer or whatever it was. I watched all of your videos and they saved me. I've had that loads of times, and that really does hit you in the guts when you read stuff like that. And some of them you actually meet in person over the time. And that is it is flattering and humbling. It really is. Have you had stuff like that as well?
yes,
Mm.
absolutely. And yeah, also I didn't really understand the differences between England and Norway. Intellectually, I did, but not on an emotional and deeper level. There's a lot that could be said about that, but yeah, I don't know if I should get into it,
No, go
um,
for
but Norway was not very. We were not hit very hard with lockdowns. Sweden was even better, as you know.
it. Yes, that's right.
We did have. They did go along with the agenda and all that. Our fine politicians here and all that, and most people. But it wasn't like, I don't think, the thing on the face. I How was it? I didn't wear it. Well, I did in one grocery store, because in that particular grocery store, there are lots of old people and frail people go there, and I didn't want to upset them. They were afraid and all. So okay, for me that was never a principle that I would never wear this thing on the
Yeah.
face. That was for me, and I said from the start, I can do that from time to time. But for me, I would not be tested.
Mm.
That that was important for me.
Yeah.
And we're all different, and I think now we are into that topic. We were going to get into that topic anyway, but I
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
years of training talking without using the words. So we needed to draw a line in the sand, and we needed to not move that line, you know.
Yeah.
And you did, I did, lots of people did. Not enough, not enough people did.
Mm.
Um, but it might have been that line was drawn at different places from person to person, I guess. But
Yeah.
that's okay. But pointer is that you draw that line and you stick to it. That's my main pointer. And
Yeah, it's absolutely the same with me. I mean, I'll be totally honest. And when it all started, I absolutely fell for it, and I thought, wow, this is one of the things that us preppers was dreading. Um, and it's such one of those things where it doesn't matter how much you prepare. Should have it been real, of course. That was a massive thing to try and actually survive, but as it didn't take too long, probably about 6 weeks from it,
yeah,
it started to come out in the news and the rest of it.
mm,
And it was my partner actually. She showed me a picture on Instagram, and what it was this church in Italy, northern Italy, I believe,
mm,
and it was just full up with coffins everywhere. And I was like, oh my God, all those poor people have got the virus and they've died and stuff. And then she said, now look at this. And she swipes over, and it's exactly the same photograph from a newspaper taken sometime before the event was publicly announced, as it were. And I was like, whoa, really? Then it was literally like a switch being flicked. Exactly the same as when I found out about 9/11 and wow. And it just goes back to the same old thing. The bigger the lie, the more believable it is. And how many people believed in it? I mean, wow. And then there's so much stuff which was coming out all over social media, wasn't there, about, pulling holes in the whole story. And, I think lots of people during 2020, right up till probably today, are waking up, if you want to coin that phrase. And I, for me personally, I sort of woke up, as they call it, way back in 2008 to all of this stuff that's going on. So I've had a long, long time to prepare myself, spiritually, mentally, right up until now. But I really do feel for these guys and girls who are waking up within the last couple of years. It must be so much to process. I mean, it must be a nightmare for them. I really do feel for them, mate.
yeah. Well, yeah. There's a lot I could say about that, I guess. But in my case, I wrote a novel. A pandemic happens, a flu-like pandemic, because I used that because that was for a long time, and I do not believe that this is a conspiracy, but for a long time, that has been viewed by, uh, you know, most people who work with the global pandemics, that it's going to happen at some point. Um, so that's what I used as a background for my novel. So I actually knew what to look for, and at the very beginning, it did. That's what I thought. This is it. It's happening now. And then it didn't take so long before it kind of fell apart. And when they started to talk about the snake juice, Billy Boy's special mixture, I was lucky because I had also done research back around 2000 on stem cell technology, which is different, of course, but you do get to read about cell biology. So, not being an expert on this at all, but I did know where to look for, and it started to sound like bollocks. Excuse my language here, excuse my French. Um, yeah, you're gone, Funky, but I'll just keep talking. So it kind of didn't make sense. The logic was not there, and that's that's what I and many other people could see very early on. Am I the only one on here now? Is it my show now? I've taken over Funky Prepper's channel. Um, so thank you, Dean. Good French. Yeah, I actually had French in school, but I never used it, so I've forgotten all about it. So, yeah, I think I will, while my friend Funky Prepper is getting online again, I'll just keep this going. I'll have a look at the chat here. I can see it as well, actually. Dodgy connection. Funky, maybe Funky went to the toilet. No,
Wow.
looks like he's back now. Are you back?
No. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, I've got to sort this goddamn thing out. Let me see if I can get the thingy back on. Wow, what the hell happened there? That was insane. Right.
I just told him about all the crazy stuff that you did when you were a younger man. That you told me the big secrets you told me before we started this live stream. All that nonsense you didn't want me to tell anyone. No, no, just kidding. That was a joke. That was a joke. Taking advantage of Funky Prepper's dodgy internet connection. And making a bit of a joke here. No, no, I was just making that up. that was just a joke. So yeah, let's see her go on. I'll have to make it up then. Being intercepted by the spies. Yeah, well, I don't know.
Ah!
Oh, he's back. He's back.
Blimey. Oh, I've just had a helicopter flying over there. Well,
Oh,
I don't know what's going on. Yeah,
I
it's
just made
strange.
some jokes on your behalf. I think. I hope that's okay.
Mate, I wouldn't have done the same.
No,
Oh, well. Yeah, I don't know what happened there. Sorry, boys and girls, but goodness, I don't know what happened. That was just bonkers. Oh, wow, cool. I just got a message from the state detective. Sweet. Yeah, sorry about that. Where were we? Goodness. I forgot what we were talking about. Let's see what the chat's doing.
can I reply to one of the comments here?
Okay.
Dog Boy Malone says these two are very good. YouTube must hate them. Oh, thank you. And you know
Mm.
what? I think here's one thing I've noticed. If you go full doom and gloom, sensationalism, the world is ending tomorrow, you will
Mm.
get many, many views. Your channel will take off. There are many examples of that. If you go full conspiracy theory, full the elites are out to get us, you will probably get a lot of views. That's just how it works. And I hate to say this, but if you think that YouTube is shutting down every channel that does that, you're wrong because they don't. They like views, they like clicks. And also, there's something called gatekeepers, but that's a different topic altogether, I
Yeah.
guess.
No, that's absolutely correct. I mean, I've always said the same about Russell Brand or someone like that. You know, he's got a massive following and he's saying far more controversial stuff than us. But yet they keep
Yeah.
him talking because he's
I could not
generating.
have said that.
Mm,
I wouldn't have my channel tomorrow if I had said those things.
exactly, yeah. And it does make you think, doesn't it? You know,
Mm.
it was almost like as soon as I got to 100,000 subscribers, it was almost like, right, let's put some binoculars on this guy. And
Yeah.
anything that they didn't like, which I was talking about, rather than just shut my channel down completely, they're doing it really sneakily by causing all this strange stuff with my channel at the moment. And maybe they're trying to sort of say, yeah, we know what you're doing, and we're going to throw these problems at you and see how you get on. I could be wrong, but it's just a feeling that I have. But yeah, and it's funny that we were just starting talking about all of that sort of stuff, and all of a sudden it just went, never happened before. And then the helicopter went over. Bonkers. It really is bonkers. So how is it in Norway then when all of this stuff happened? I mean, in the UK, it was just insane. I don't know what it was like where you live, but we had supermarkets and you had all of these social distancing taped things on the floor. You have to stand here. You have to walk along the arrows. All the plastic screens up where you buy stuff from shops. You have to wear one of these. You have to use your um, smartphone so you can use the QR code to do all sorts of things. It was just the way I see it was just a massive exercise in control, and they gathered
Yeah,
as much data as they could based on what they put out there.
yeah, that was actually when I threw away my smartphone. I had been thinking about doing that completely for a long time, but when they
Excuse
started
me.
talking about this tracking app that they were going to use, I said to myself, "That's it. This is not happening.
The final straw. Mm.
No more smartphone for me." Um, yeah, they were not as bad as in your country, but they
Mm.
did their best, and I think that they had the government and people like that. They had quite a few meetings, I think, where they discussed how much they could do to us, but they didn't want to push it too far because if they did that, they knew that nobody would respect any rules. Well,
Yeah.
some would, too many would not. So
Mm.
there's a balance there, and they did find that balance. Annoyingly enough, they did, but they couldn't. They couldn't. I think English people as a whole are more, dare I say, obedient than
Mm.
Scandinavian people, or
Mm.
especially Norwegian people. Norwegian people are a bit more rebellious than, for instance, the Swedish people, and so on. Slight difference there.
Mm.
So yeah, we had the plastic shields and and the tape stand here. I always refused to stand there. Yeah,
Yeah.
I could not do that.
No.
Stand here. I will not stand on a dot on the floor. No.
I've done exactly the same. I mean, it's almost like we've got the same principles.
Mm,
And for me, I'm guessing you're probably similar. Um, I just don't enjoy being controlled in any way. I see
mm.
myself as a free spirit here on this planet, and as long as I don't upset or hurt anyone, I think I can pretty much do whatever I want. And who the hell are they to tell us you must do this? It's ridiculous anyway. I
Yeah,
mean,
as I said, I did use this thing on the face in those cases where they were old and frail people, because there's an old people's home nearby there. So, and they were so scared, they thought they were going to die tomorrow and all that. So okay, but but it's like, that's just to be nice to those people. I
yeah,
do not like these rules. I do not like, uh you know I I'm the same as you there. I will not be controlled by anyone or anything. I
yeah.
refuse. It's not okay. I will not be that guy who stands there in line. No.
Yeah, and do you know what? It's weird because if you was to look at the mainstream narrative with all of this, they would absolutely have you believe that people like us are a very small minority. But I absolutely think there's a
Mm,
lot more people like us that they would ever admit. I mean, do you remember it was in 2020 when you could go onto YouTube and you would go into a mainstream news official channel, like the BBC official YouTube channel and all of the others. And you go on there and they would talk about the government's approach about that
mm,
sort of thing. And they was obviously following the script and going along with the narrative and the agenda. And do you remember when you had the thumbs up and the thumbs down? Well, I remember so many times, and I think I've screenshotted some somewhere. Um, the BBC, for example, were talking about the pro-government approach to that, and the thumbs up would be like 500, but the thumbs down would be like 16,000.
yeah.
And they sort of let that go for a good few months, and all of a sudden, the thumbs down function vanished. You couldn't see the
Mm,
number. So that in itself should be a red flag to anyone who has a brain to question why would they do that? Because
Mm.
the thumbs down function has been on YouTube ever since I can remember. And all of a sudden, it's going to be a representation of the online viewing audience that obviously is fundamentally disproved by the YouTube viewer that what they was talking about was actually factual, complete BS, and it's just carried on from there, isn't it? Really?
Mm. But if we are the majority, I don't know. I would guess we are not, but I don't know. But it's just a guess. I have a feeling in my country that I am part of the minority, a small minority actually,
Mm.
and I can't prove that. I can't disprove it. I don't know. It's just a feeling.
I'll tell you what would be a good way to do a test, a visual test based on this, is if they dared to roll out the same shenanigans again. A
Yeah,
good
they
way to
will.
check would be to go into a supermarket and see who is the majority, people wearing these or people who aren't. I would like to think that the minority in an average supermarket at any one time
Mm.
would be wearing one of those. That's what my feelings are. So based on that, I don't think that they're going to be rolling out the same sort of exercise. I really don't, because I just think too many people know what's going on now, and it's strange.
I
Every
think
time
they
I go
will.
out in public and I talk to people, so many people like us, it
Mm.
just blows people's minds. It's
But
crazy. It
I
doesn't
think they
take
will do that. I think they
long.
will do it again.
You think they will?
Um,
Wow.
I think they will do it again. But I don't know. But it's just a feeling. But
Hmm.
I overheard someone on Norwegian TV, a bit of a Freudian slip there. He was he's a chief something in the health department, something like that, like the top guy there. Um, and he said, I can't remember exactly, but he said something along the lines on of, and the next time we will, and so on and so on.
Yes. The
Like
next one, yeah.
the next time. So there will be a next time. In his head, there's a next time coming.
Hmm.
And I don't know, but I would, if I had to bet £10,000 or dollars or whatever, I would bet on them, our fine authorities, to pull something very similar off
Hmm.
again.
Well, do you think there'll be the
You want to
same
bet
sort
against me? No, I'm not a betting man.
Yeah,
I'm not a
no,
betting.
me neither. No, 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 no way. Life's too short for that nonsense. But
Let's hope I'm wrong.
yeah, let's hope so. I mean, wow. I mean, even if they did, would you think they would still try to enforce the same restrictions which they done earlier, which we talked
I
about earlier?
think they would go easier on the kids because they have admitted that that was a mistake. But I think that they would go much harder on getting people um, medicated. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was weird. And then I just remember, when me and my partner, we was going out to a local town to do some shopping, etc. And they had, what was it? I think it was a Costa, one of them coffee
Mm.
corporate places. And it was just insane. You had these um, hazard tape, the black and yellow striped tape on the pavement outside every, was it 2 meters? Or I can't remember what it was. So people were queuing up, standing on these lines, and then they wouldn't let you in there until you got your smartphone with the code to
Oh,
go in there. Then you was inside. You had to wear one of these at all times, and then you went to pay for or order your stuff, and you had these huge, great big perspex plastic screens everywhere, and everyone was going along with that. And when you sat down, they took their thingies off, all in
yeah,
the same room. And
yeah.
I'm thinking, if you if you can't see that there's a fundamental flaw in that safety plan, then wow, I don't think there's much we can do for these people. And that
No.
passes on to a similar thing. You've experienced this recently, I presume, when you come over to the UK in an airport. So you
Oh,
go to the airport, you go to the departure, the check-in terminal, and you've had these huge, big, long snaking queues because they all had to be
yeah.
distanced. And he was all wearing this, and he went through all of that rigmarole and privacy invasion, only to sit down in a tiny metal tube on an airplane for 10 hours with these masks on or off. It's
Yeah, well,
just
there were no masks on my flight to the bushcraft show or back. Just the
not good.
usual harassment that they always. I'm always subjected to the fascists at the security check, um,
Yeah.
and I don't like them. They don't like me, and that's
Mm,
how it is. And it's gotten to the point now where it's so annoying, and also the whole process with all the scanning is not good for your health. Actually, people
mm.
should look into that if you haven't already. So I refuse, which all so it's a
So what happened on the flight then? Because personally, I've not been on a plane since 2003, something like that. So have you got to walk through these big
well,
X-ray
they have
machines or
these.
something?
They pick some people to go through the body scanners, as they call them, which
Oh,
yeah, okay. So if you want to know, and lots of people here have gone through those, and they take a photo photo of you that can see through your clothes. So there was one case where those images were leaked, put on the internet,
oh,
basically nude photos. That's but
yeah.
to do that, they need to send. It's not X-ray, but the frequency. This is. I'm not a physicist or anything like that, obviously, but the frequency needs to be such that it stops at the skin, which will make if you it's not healthy
Yeah.
concerning skin cancer. It's not good at all. So I refuse to go through those, and that's when they do like this. Oh, this guy is trouble, this guy is trouble.
He's
And
not
they will
complying.
actually
Stop him.
stand there, put on their rubber gloves, so that yeah, they don't they want to make it like everyone's, look at this guy, we're going to search this.
Make an example of the
Yeah,
nonconformist. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
And I'm like, if I put my middle finger up, that's my attitude there. And I told this guy, he started on his little speech, and I told him, you don't have to waste time on your little speech. I've heard it before. That's exactly what I told him, actually. Um, because I do not respect those people at all. And
Yeah.
then they take me into this little room. Everyone can see that, oh, they are taking this guy into the test room. He's a drug smuggler. Oh, they're going to search him in his yeah, they can't do that, by the way. But for the record, they never have. No, they never have. The only thing that happens is that they take the same metal detector thing that they have, that you go through, and they
Hmm.
do like this, and that's it.
Bloody
But
hell.
it's
That's
the
just bonk.
intimidation that gets to me. And it's
Yeah.
obviously something they do because they want everyone to fall in line, just go along with it. And I really hate it. I
Hmm.
it's it's just the best example I can come up with concerning how people just fall in line. They are obedient, they go along with it. But
Hmm.
if you had a little bit of the ability to think for yourself, you would first of all look into the technology. It's not difficult to find out what's going on
Hmm.
there. And then you would refuse. And then that would be it, you know?
Yeah, I'll be the same. I think personally, I would really struggle with that process and procedure at security at airports and any transport hubs. I'm presuming as we move
Mm.
forward. Yeah, I think I'll be not happy with that at all because it's basically an invasion of your privacy. I mean, I'm presuming that back in the olden days where you go through airport security, it was almost like a door frame. If you got anything metallic, it would make a sound. And you put all of
Yeah.
your stuff in a plastic tray. Then you went through there and you kept going through there till a beep stopped. To me, that's good enough. And
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
why would they want to? Again, I believe it's probably another one of those. Right, let's very very slowly, and the only way they get away with this is they do it over time, and
Mm.
then you figure out that term called normalcy bias, which people would believe that's fine, it's normal, regardless of how it makes them feel. They just fall in line, and no, I couldn't do it, mate. Absolutely couldn't do it.
No, and it's also a joke when it comes to security. I read a very interesting article concerning how it's all wrong at the security check on the airports. If someone wants to, I'll be careful with the words here. Um, Detonate something that
Yeah.
explodes.
Mm.
It would be the perfect environment because you have glass walls. It's an enclosed space, lots of people there.
Yeah.
So it's really the perfect, in a negative sense, environment to do that. But anyway, that's just how it is. And
Yeah, it is just interesting because, like I said, I've not experienced anything like that, and I had no idea how it's evolved over the years regarding that. But that does sound a privacy invasion scanning thing. So yeah, not impressed. Not impressed at all. So just dropping into the chat quick to see who we've got in here. Oh, we got people that don't agree with your religious beliefs, but hey,
my religious beliefs,
who cares? At the end of the day, I've always said people are free to believe whatever they want, and as long as you don't force that on anyone else, there should be no problem.
yeah,
That's how I see it.
the Christians do. That's the problem.
Well, it's like
And
I
by the way,
say,
I am not moving to the USA to be married to some crazy woman and sit in a mega church there, because there are some emails
no way,
pointing in that direction.
really.
It's not going to happen. So no.
Episode 2 of Clown World, everybody. Bloody Nora. But yeah, no, that's crazy.
There will be after ski party for all the popes and priests in hell before that happens. So
Yeah,
yeah,
something may freeze over, perhaps. But yeah, with all of that being said, what we talked about earlier, um, like I sort of touched on before we come on live here, was regardless of what happens and how long it takes to happen and who gets affected, as long as you live your life which you want to live, etc.,
yeah,
that's all we really need to focus on. Because I really believe that not one person or not some of us can actually save the world from all this. You know, we just need to concentrate on ourselves and our loved ones. Hence is why I really stepped up into preparedness from 2012. Basically, see something like this happening at some point in time. So I had a long time to process all of this and to prepare myself for as many things as I possibly could.
mm,
And one of the things which is not talked about enough on YouTube is, which you're a massive advocate of, and the same here, is the connection with nature. Because so many people since 2020 have suffered massive mental trauma with all of this BS which has been going on. If only everyone knew to make yourself totally feel loads better is just to go to the woods or somewhere in the countryside. I mean, it makes a huge difference, doesn't it, in your mood and everything else.
yeah. I call nature the great healer.
Mm.
It really is. That's something that I talked about at the Bushcraft show on stage there. And it has been scientifically proven to lower cholesterol levels and so on, being out in nature. So it is something that I think should be an essential part. Yeah, that's me. An essential part of your
There's me.
life. That's you.
That's it.
Um,
But, mm,
and it's I think, and what I tend to say is that if your life consists of boxes, it's not a good life properly. If you wake up in a box, your apartment, your room, and then you go to work and you stare at a square screen, and then you go back home and you stare at another flat screen in your box, and that's your life. And that's not how we're supposed to live. You know, we are
Absolutely,
supposed to
100%.
be in nature.
Yeah, for sure. And I remembered probably from my really earliest YouTube videos back in 2012, is it was just a message out to especially the younger generation, but aimed at everyone. Spend less time with that TV. Better still, don't watch it at all, because we're both of the same age. I'm 51. You've just turned 50, and do you get that feeling that time speed seems to be speeding up? I mean, the distance between Christmas and Christmas every year just feels shorter. So when you've got that in your mind, how many hours are people literally wasting their life looking at that black rectangle in their room on average for 5, 6, 7, 8 hours every single day, just looking at a screen, when they could be reading, they could be studying, learning, researching, going outside, or whatever it is? Surely, when you look back on your life, that you're proud of what you've done to help others and to learn as much as possible, rather than just sitting there watching some boring, hideous soap opera or game show or whatever it is. It just seems a big waste of time, doesn't it, mate?
Yeah, I think what matters to me now is experiences. I
Yeah.
want adventure. I actually changed my my job description on social media to novelist and adventurer. And adventure is
Indiana
something
Björn, I
fun.
like
I'm
it.
climbing the Everest tomorrow. It's funny as well, but that's what I aspire to. That's what I want to do. That's how I want to live.
Mm.
And now my kids are, well, almost adults, and they, it's funny. I'm going to take off my some of my clothes, not all of them. It's getting warmer. But yeah, it's all about adventure, and I want to travel more, and I want to.
Mm.
It's a shame with the security people and all that. I hate them.
Yeah. What a
But
pisser.
you
Yeah.
can get far with a boat and with a car.
Mm.
Uh, so I'm going to travel more. I'm going to travel more in Norway as well. My ambition is to have 100 overnighter videos on YouTube within a year, something like that.
Wow, that's cool.
40,
Wow, that's really
43 now,
awesome.
so I need to hurry up a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely right. I mean, like I said, we're both of the same sort of age, and every now and again, I don't know about you, but it's sort of the thought enters your mind. I'm getting a little bit older, a little bit slower. I'm not as fit as I was, and you know, the older we get, the more um, we are being made aware of friends and loved ones actually passing away for whatever reasons. And I suppose you get older and older and older, you're going to be going to more and more funerals, etc. So, with the decision to stop wasting time in front of the TV, computer games, or whatever it is, time is the greatest commodity, isn't it? It's more valuable than anything money can buy.
Hmm.
So, why not exactly fill it up with good experiences, especially being out in nature? That's one of the reasons why I absolutely love doing overnight camps,
Yeah.
especially on my own. I've been invited by so many people. Oh, can we come out and do an overnight with you? But it's one, it's very very hard to film because most of the time you're spent having a
Yes.
laugh, chatting, catching up, which you can't really put on the video. But when you're on your own, and it's almost like that 24-hour period. So from midday to midday, how I do it,
Hmm.
I would say out of all of that time, you've got more than half of that time not working, as it were. And that is the time which I really just love, just settling down. My favorite time is just before it gets dark, making sure everything's prepared and ready for the nighttime. And then when it is dark, the fires go in and you can listen to the owls. I love listening to the owls and all of the animals going through the stages of the forest gradually getting quieter. And then, as a bonus, if you see the full moon on a clear sky with stars, that is the stuff that you just can't buy. And no matter what television program shows you this, it is nothing like the real thing, is it, mate?
No, I, we have a TV, but I don't really watch the TV.
Mm.
I watch some YouTube. I never play computer games.
No.
And to be honest with you, I watched less YouTube lately. And that's because, and this is an interesting thing actually. The channels that I enjoyed, I checked, and a lot of those guys and girls, they are not active anymore. They're not making videos anymore,
Mm.
which saddens me. I don't know if you have experienced the same.
Yes, I have, mate. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It is. When you think, oh, I wonder how someone's doing. Oh, they haven't put a video up in a year or 3 years or whatever
Mm.
it is. Yeah,
And
it is.
I, I, it's difficult to be a YouTuber. It's very hard, but we are left with more and more nonsensical. I will not curse, but nonsensical manure and uh, and clickbait.
Mm,
And I miss the old days on YouTube. The old
mm.
days. I miss that.
When you got a problem with something, whether it's the washing machine or the car, guaranteed you can go on YouTube and there's a
Yeah.
video telling you how to repair it and stuff. That stuff's really useful. And I'll tell you what's happened since I've come back from the bushcraft show. All of the video channels which I used to regularly watch right up until the bushcraft show, mainly talking about social commentary of the time from different places around the world, just to see what's going on, from what they've been finding out. And since I've come back from the bushcraft show, I have had zero interest in any of it. And in fact, I
Mm.
don't think I've seen any of them. But what I am finding, which I enjoy to watch, are other people going out doing stuff in the woods, overnight camps and things like this. I
Mm.
just watch them all the time in the evenings now, rather than, oh, you never guess what China's gone and done now and Russia's done. I'm thinking, I can't be bothered. I don't care. I just want to enjoy my evening and relax and to have some sort of connection with the outdoors. And once that video or whatever's done for about an hour, it goes off and I pick up a book and I can unwind ready for bedtime. So yeah, something's definitely changed, and I've been getting emails from people saying they're sick and tired of it up to here with
Mm.
all of the what's right, what's wrong, what's truth, what's BS, what's happening, what's the mainstream saying. Really, there's not much we can do to affect all of these things that are rolling down the line. And I think if you really feel that all of this stuff is getting on top, trust me, take a break from it or watch something that you enjoy watching or do something you enjoy doing. Because after all, we're all human and we do need to think of ourselves rather than trying to worry about what could be coming. What's happened yesterday is done. You can't change it. And tomorrow's not even happened yet. So why not live for now?
Yes,
Pretty
I
straightforward, isn't
absolutely agree.
it?
But there's a balance that we need to find there as well. And I must say that after the bushcraft show, maybe it's the opposite for me. I've decided to comment more and look more into what's happening around us, um, because people told me that's important to them that I do that. And I also, the pure outdoors videos, I put them on my Bjorn Outdoors channel.
Yeah, I've been noticing. Yeah.
Yeah, and but it's like there's a balance there, and that you need to find, and that balance is different from person to person. For me, I will say I'm sick and tired of, you know what I'm sick and tired of? I'm sick and tired of always working so damn hard and
Tell me about it.
always getting no, no, no.
Yeah.
That's what I'm sick and tired of. It's been like that my entire life, um, as it has for most people, I guess. But I have a very strong fighting spirit,
Snap.
and I want to fight this. I want to go out fighting, as they say.
Yeah, it's like I said when because when Björn and myself was at the Bushcraft show, we spent a good few hours or so just chatting privately without crowds and whatnot. And I remember saying to you when we was there, one of the reasons why I'm literally pushing my videos as far as I can on YouTube is because I want to do my best to enable my son to have the childhood which I had.
Hmm.
So I have to do something for him at the bare minimum. I mean, how many times did we all see memes going through 2020? And like the kids are growing up and say, "Oh, what did your mum do? Or what did your dad do during the great, the issue that happened?" And yeah, it was interesting to see, oh, my dad just shut up, didn't do anything, and just hoped it would all go away. And then guess what? That possible future could be highly tyrannical, a lot more than what it is now, based upon people didn't do anything about it.
Yes.
So this is why I have decided to push it as far as I could without being deplatformed, and hopefully encourage and inspiring other people to do the same, not just to walk around, shut their mouth, and comply and do as they're told. People need to do something. All of us do.
Yes. I've said this before on my live streams, but I am where I'm sitting now. You can't see this because the camera is facing towards me, but my desk belonged to my grandfather, and he used this desk during the occupation during the Second World War in Norway.
Wow,
And there's a secret compartment here, and he used to
love it.
hide illegal pamphlets in that secret compartment.
Whoa.
If they had caught him, he would have been imprisoned for that, and
Yeah,
maybe,
worse. Yeah.
maybe worse.
Mm.
He still did that, and when he did that, and also I had another relative. He was shot during the war. He was in the resistance, and I mean, this that I'm doing, just some guy on talking on YouTube, it's nothing. It's if I can't do that when they did what they did,
Yeah.
then I'm nothing,
Yeah.
you know.
Completely
So
get it. Yeah.
yeah, so compared to that, we are wimps sitting here talking on social media, and the
Mm.
worst thing that can happen, well, you never know, but in your
Yeah.
country they will come, as I know that they did, on your
Yeah.
door, the police, and you know
Mm.
little fascists there. But I don't think that will happen here in Norway. But it's nothing compared to that. It's nothing. And
Yeah.
I'm you know what? I'm kind of disgusted by people who do not use their voice, because
Yeah.
they can go on social media, they can protest, they can raise their voice when they're with other people. If they disagree with the current agenda, then say so.
Yeah.
You
This is
know?
what people need to do is to
Yeah.
turn the fear button off and be themselves. And like I've been saying for a while now on my channel is if it feels wrong, question it or do something about it or both. Don't just go, oh, they want me to do this. I really don't agree with it. I don't like it, but I'm going to do it anyway. Mate, do you know what? How much empowered you're going to be by acting on how you feel, truly acting on how you feel. Because let me tell you this much: the control program, all of these protocols that are in place. You must do this, you must do that. Half of it really isn't there. It really isn't. And it's only until you stand up and question things, then it's nowhere near as bad as what you thought. And that comes down to one word: fear. That's
Yeah.
all it is. Fear is literally fear of the unknown. If I say something, what would happen? I don't know. So I won't say it. Don't worry about it. If you want to say it, say it. Because at the end of the day, we're all human beings. We can all talk. We can all use our voice. And at the end of the day, we're all human beings on this planet, and we should all be helping each other rather than dobbing someone in because they didn't wear one of those for financial gain or whatever it is. It is. You start looking back in historical times, and this has happened so many times before. Like you said, in World War II, a friend of mine is over in LA. He was from the Philippines, and they had exactly the same sort of occupation and communist stuff going on over there. And he pretty much said on a live stream that, people who are doing stuff like us, they were literally shopped or, informed by other members of the public, and they come round and they were put in prison. And prisons out there are a lot worse than the hotels we have here in the UK. So yes, just because it hasn't happened to you guys doesn't mean to say it won't. And yeah, now is the time to speak out, because if everyone just shuts their mouth and goes about their business, they're literally going to go, "Well, this is easy. They're not fighting
Mm.
back or doing anything."
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah. And and you know, and there's another thing that people need to keep in mind. People in positions of power in society, they really are not that clever. They really are not that
I
smart.
know, I know.
Yeah, and because if you look at politicians, the politicians get elected, they rise to the top there. How should I put this? I've seen this because I was briefly in. I was talked into joining one of the political parties here, local community thing, many years ago, and I witnessed how it works. It is a popularity contest. It
Yeah,
is not about who is the most skilled, the best for the job. No, it's a popularity contest.
yeah,
So you see the conservative leader, Erna, big woman, she will probably be elected in again now that we have a socialist government now. We had a conservative. Well, those are just names, you know what I mean.
I know, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then people will elect the conservatives again in couple of years time, and but she is, I can tell, she is not very smart. It's like when she talks, I can tell that her IQ is maybe average,
mm,
probably a little bit below average. I get that feeling, and
yeah,
so don't be afraid of these people. We all need to. What we need to do is to read, educate ourselves, question other people, question everything, but
mm,
first and foremost, question ourselves, because we do not want to fall into that trap where we believe in something some guy, maybe me, said on YouTube. Question what I say, question everything, get get skilled at finding good sources, which is
yeah,
probably going to be a book
yeah,
written by someone with a degree. I know some people will hate me for saying this, but there are topics that you really need to have an education to understand. And
mm,
if you start reading, if you start getting into topics like that, you will see that most topics that are simplified in mainstream media really are very, very complex.
yeah.
Um, so, yeah, I just wanted to add that there.
No, no, no. You're absolutely right. I mean, I know exactly where you're coming from, because I have got quite a good book collection over the years, and some of the older authors, which I struggled to read at first, but once you get good dictionaries and you can start learning as you go through, the way they're written is fantastic. You look at some of the H.G. Wells stuff and Aldous Huxley as well. Those sorts of books, I'll guarantee you, the average Joe would pick them up and they'd be like, "What? What's that word mean? What does that mean? I've never heard of these words," because words are changing as we go through time. Lots of more dictionaries are from the 1930s and before that. And there's words in there which are not used today. And words are very powerful because you know that more than anyone, being an author. And going back to what you said about politicians and possible people of some degree of prominence, lots of them are following orders, the agenda, whatever it is. And I think the trap which they are going to fall into is they have no idea that at some point they are going to be expendable because they've fulfilled their duty, they've performed their task and part of the agenda, which is obviously compartmentalized, and they're not going to be of any use. And at that point, they're going to be thinking, "Whoa, I need security," because it's only a matter of time before people find out where I live, what I've done, and no one's going to help them. But that day will come to so many people who believe they are currently untouchable because everyone's expendable who plays that devious game which they're playing. And we are going to win this sheer weight of numbers. And it's like everything else. You have to go through the bad stuff to get to the good stuff. And we are literally walking into the bad stuff right now. And yeah, what a flipping time to be alive, mate. Eh?
Yeah, I don't know about what you said there. I don't know, but I was going to say, you know, I think you should vote Party Boris back into office because he was such fun. You know,
Bozo. Oh my
that's
goodness.
that's
I
what
mean,
that's what I want.
oh,
Probably not the best for you guys, but it was so much fun.
clown world. Well, this is it, isn't it? I mean, it's the illusion of choice, isn't it? The political system. You know, you've got divide
Yeah,
and conquer. So you've got these guys and these guys. I'll vote for these guys. These are great. And then they start changing. Oh, well, they're horrible. Let's vote for these guys. And it's always been like this. And it's going to be in the UK. It's usually Labour and Conservative. But let me tell you this: they just follow orders. It doesn't matter what side they are. So maybe, the whole political structure and system needs to change. But I think one of the things which no, I don't hear anyone talking about is, should this pack of cards come collapsing down, which does look like it could happen, what have we got to replace it? How are we going to rebuild this massively corrupt system? How are we going to do it? Because it's always the same. And I've said this to Armored Cockroach on a live stream once. Picture, if you will, the global population, was it 8 billion people, thereabouts? How many would it be
I'll
if,
have to interrupt you there.
yeah,
There's a guy called Dream Chaser here. You might want to kick him out.
Dream Chaser? Yeah, moderators, if you can find Dream Chaser, there's no way I can go for all of this. Yeah, you can bump the guy off. That's cool. But
Yep.
yeah, 8 billion people, just as a rough number of how many people are currently alive here on this planet, which is a bore. I think we both agree on that, mate, don't we? How many of those are absolutely evil with zero empathy? How many? Would you say 1%, 5%, 10% maybe? Either way, we're talking a lot of people. Anything between 1 and 10% of
Are you
everyone on the
talking
planet.
like psychopaths,
Yeah,
clinical
absolutely.
psychopaths?
True evil people. How
I
many
don't
of
know, but
those?
there are actually studies that
Hmm.
some estimates. I can't remember now, but
No, it'd
not
be good to
many.
look into
Look,
that.
not
But,
many.
just, but how many of those people have risen and are rising to high positions of power within the structure
Um,
of how our
I've
society
looked
is
into that,
run? Hmm.
and it is not uncommon that you will have sociopaths, which is different, of
Yes.
course,
Hmm.
in positions of power. It is not uncommon, and you don't want that, but it is a fact that they get drawn to, and also narcissists. I would say, okay, so here goes, you
That's
know,
on the rise.
um, both Obama and Trump have they come across at least their stage persona through their stage persona come across as um, a bit narcissist, but you can't really put that label on anyone
Mm.
before you have them in a room and you start talking with them. But that's yeah.
That guy's
We got
gone, by the way. I
footballs
just blocked
here.
him.
Yeah,
Not having that.
I'm sorry that Dream Chaser had to get so upset. It's not easy being acting like a grown up for more
That's
than
right. It's
five
blocked from
minutes.
the channel, so everything he's ever typed tonight is all deleted now. So
Yeah,
it's past. Forget it.
that's good. Yeah.
You carry on, sir.
Yeah. So I can't remember the numbers, but I remember that I was surprised that there are so many in positions of power, like in the corporate world and also in politics,
Oh
and
yeah,
they get
100%.
drawn to this feeling of having power
Greed
uh,
and power.
over other
Yeah.
people.
Well, look at
Which
Tony Blair. He was a prime example. Tony
oh
Blair
yeah,
has
yeah,
done untold evil things, and
yes,
I spoke about him and his association with the Fabian Society, and
mm,
it just goes. George Orwell and Aldous Huxley were members of that same organisation, and yeah, they've all got social intertwinings with how this structure is run currently.
mm.
And yeah, I've
This
done some deep diving in that, and it's quite
mm.
sinister what you look into.
It is important that we, when we try to look into this, that we separate between not liking someone and putting a label on them, because
Yeah,
it's those are two
judgy,
different.
judgy. That's what I call it. Yeah,
Yeah, it's
judgment.
like it's almost a meme now. Like we call everyone we don't like a narcissist. That's
Oh yeah, I know. You really got to understand fully the definition of the
yeah.
term before you start
Not
casting
many
any
people
judgment.
are a
Yeah,
narcissist, but
exactly.
there are
Yeah.
some. There are some. You will find them on YouTube as well.
Oh god, yeah.
Um,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Especially the tendencies. But
Yeah.
the thing is, the reason why I'll bring up that little piece of information regards how many people are evil in positions of power. The reason I said that was just say, for argument's sake, this whole power structure and pyramid of control was to collapse and we was to replace it. How are we going to weed out these evil people who have been ruining it in the first place? Now, that is always been like a background app running in my mind. Should all of this structure just collapse, we have to replace it. Now, they have to be replaced by genuine men and women of honor who we can all trust without any of these sly, sneaky, evil people rising to the top and then start being power greedy like what we've been seeing.
That would be first in world history.
Yeah.
So here's what I think. I think that if we do see a collapse of either the monetary system, the infrastructure, or if we see a lot of social unrest because of starvation or other issues,
Mm.
um, you will have the democratic process put aside, and you will see other people taking control. And we saw that during the whole
Iraq.
lockdown and all that.
Yeah, yeah.
Other people took control actually, uh, and I'm not very hopeful. I call me a pessimist if you want, but I do not think that good people would group together and defend their farm with their guns. And no, I don't see that happening. I see violent anarchy. I
Mm.
see starvation, murder. I see the world burning for a number of years
Mm.
before it kind of starts all over again. But that's just me. Might be wrong.
Mm.
Let's hope I'm wrong.
Now, it's like I say, there is going to be a period of that stuff, and yeah, eloquently put. And yeah, it does really make you think. You know, what can we do about it? But like I said, when you sort of step back and you think, there's no way anyone can stop all of this stuff that's coming down the road because it's happened before. And these resets, I believe that the original agenda was 2050, brought forward to 2040, then 2030, and then they've actually started it in 2020. And everything is changing so fast. So many people are waking up. So they've literally done us all a favor with what they've done, because it's literally made that big veil, which was covering all of this control stuff, so thin that loads of people are seeing through it now. And it is just exponential. The amount of people which contact me, people I meet in person, and they're pretty much all on the same wavelength. Whereas I can go into anyone in a supermarket and talk about, oh, what do you feel about, it could be possibly cashless. 9 times out of 10, they're just like us. So I'm thinking there's more people like us than I think a lot of people realize. But I think they're afraid to do the right thing and speak out and try and help because of fear. They're fearful of being arrested. They're fearful of losing a job. They're fearful of having no money, so they can't provide for their family. So they invariably toe the line, which is, I really do think people need to have principles and vote with, especially like I do with money. I just use cash now. I do not use that card anymore. I use cash all the time. And I decide what company and what shop I'm going to support. As many local independent businesses as I can. You can forget, great big multi conglomerates, etc. I mean, look what's happened to Bud Light in America. That is what we need to do. Any company who is for this evil crap, boycott. Simple as that. And the more people that start, narrowing down their funding, as it were, the harder it's going to be for them. And they're going to have to seriously rethink, because at the end of the day, they all have shareholders to make comfortable. And if they start leaving because that company's going down the pan, yeah, that is how we do it. We vote with our money and we use cash, because all the time we're using contactless payments, putting money towards these. North Face is another one coming out with all this woke nonsense. Just don't buy anything from them anymore, and we just need to share this information about these companies which are backing all of this stuff, and just don't fund them with our own hard-earned money.
Yeah, I'm absolutely buying a lot less stuff, as little as possible, than compared to what I did before. Not that I was a big spender or anything like that, but yeah, you mentioned. Let me just say that capitalism is one thing. Stakeholder capitalism
Yeah.
is coming, and it's a funny expression, isn't it? That's something that will be shaping the world that we live in more and more in the coming years. It's all about power and money, of course. It's just a pretty name or a funny name.
It is, yeah. It just comes down to greed and power, doesn't it? Really, when you boil away it all.
Yeah, and I think we've gotten to the point now where there's a limit to how much money you can make based on how many people there are and their willingness to pay, and also the resources available for you to make stuff.
Yeah,
So they need to change the whole system around. That's where stakeholder capitalism comes in, where um, you make people having to buy stuff that they didn't have to buy before. And
yeah,
it's like
yeah,
I'll give you an example. It's from Disney, not that Disney. No, Donald Duck, old comic book. You know, Carl Barks. I read
yes,
that story when
yes,
I was
yes.
a little kid. So I'll give you the very short version. So they go searching for a Viking helmet. Actually, Donald Duck and these nephews and some archaeologists, and they find it. And whoever puts it on his head gets to rule North America, king of North America. And he gets mad with power. And then they, because of different things, they all try this helmet on. And then I can't remember, but the last one, I
The
think,
character,
puts the
yeah.
helmet on, gets this brilliant idea. He says, everyone's going to just, I'm going to leave everyone in peace. They're just, I won't ask anything. It's just that you'll have to pay tax for one thing, the air that you breathe. And you're going to have a meter on your chest. And for every time you take a breath, it will register, you know. And if you sneeze, it's more, and so on and so on.
Wow.
That was so funny and
Yeah.
written many, many years ago, or drawn. And I don't know, but that's kind of, that will be the result of stakeholder capitalism, right?
Yeah, nicely put, mate. Yeah, I know exactly what you mean as well, and it's fundamental, which is coming to the road, and it all comes down to the same thing, because we are dealing with such an evil power going right to the top. These people have at their disposal really good levels of intelligence regarding professors in all fields who are willing or maybe unwilling, but literally forced to fulfill their roles in their compartmentalized um, work. So they've got that. They've got unlimited funds run by severely evil people. And this has been going on for thousands of years, not just since 2020. So don't be upset if you are new to this information, because let me tell you this, the level of expertise that is taken to pull all of this off is higher than you could ever imagine. So don't feel bad that you're not really sure about what we're talking about or what has happened over the last couple of years, because everyone has to start somewhere and it's always going to be that way. But the main weapon which they use is dividing people. Okay. I mean, it could happen to you. Okay, then let's say the Vikings and the Saxons, the Catholics, the Protestants, the Muslims, everyone's got their own little box, their own little title, and they're quite happy to just fight each other all the time. You're too fat, you're too thin, you're gay, you're straight, you're black, you're white. Doesn't
While
matter.
there are some big companies selling them all weapons.
Yes, it's a rock with a color, but but the thing is, this is the problem because we've been so segregated from each other. It's very easy to control people. One, when they're in their own pigeonholes, and two, when they're scared or when they're fearful of something. Like I said, these guys, or if you want to call them that, are absolute experts in this, what they're doing. Okay, so lose the fear. Don't play their game. Step back from it. Choose not to play the part in the game of the average citizen who is going to do as they're told. I done a video a while ago, and it's called "Start Saying No." And this is what people really need to just think about. Watch that video and let it sink in, because, like you said, Bjorn, earlier, people need to question everything. Okay, and if it feels wrong, think about it. You don't have to do anything you don't want to, and it's fear which is stopping you, doing what you want to do or what want to do what you feels right. And I think more people are coming to that sort of conclusion since this veil has been unlifted from 2020, and it's crazy to see, isn't it?
Yeah. I just saw a comment here
Yeah.
concerning buying a motorhome, and I want to just add, change the topic maybe, but we are talking preparedness now and then, and I will say this: I've always been a big fan of being able to move, to
Mm.
be mobile as a prepper, and during the last 2 or 3 years, I've become more convinced than ever that being able to leave everything
Mm.
that you can't take with you on
Yeah.
very short notice is going to be key.
Yeah.
That's going to be if you have the old, I'll say this, if you have this old-fashioned attitude towards prepping or preparedness, that if you think you're going to be left alone, or that you're going to be able to defend your home with your 1,000 guns, you will not be able to do that, because
Mm,
we are human beings. We need to think ahead. We need to be
mm.
a few steps ahead of what's coming. And I'm not saying something extraordinary is coming, but if you want to be prepared, you need to be prepared to leave everything, and just that you can't take with you, and leave and go to another place.
Mm.
So a motorhome makes a lot of sense. Um, and also, will I dare I add, protection against toxic, uh,
Yes,
both,
respirators.
yes, yes,
Yeah,
respirators, so all kinds of toxic fumes.
and
And
for your dogs too. Yeah.
yes, and I'll say a few words about that as well. So a lot of people made fun of me because I bought these two crates that accordion, you fold them out,
Mm.
to put my dogs in. And oh, that was so stupid. People said that was so stupid because you can't keep them in there. I'm not going to keep them in there, you
I
imbeciles.
know, I know, I know what you
It's
mean,
to
dude.
give you it's to give you a few hours extra so that you put them in there, you put
Mm,
your suit on, and by the way, you can't live inside a hazmat suit
no,
forever.
no.
And so we put all that on, you put the dogs in there, you get them in your car. Hopefully you have been able to think ahead.
Mm,
You keep track of the radiation levels, and in Europe and so on. We are in Europe, unless you're in Europe, well, yeah, you know what I mean.
yes, I
Um,
know.
and then you leave, and then you go somewhere else, and you better have some plans in advance concerning that, depending on wind direction,
Yeah.
whatever happens. That's preparedness. As is having food, having cash, having also means of defending yourself, and so
Mm,
on.
yeah, because
Just
no
wanted
one's
to add
coming. Yeah.
that.
No, no, you're absolutely bang on, mate. And it's something me and Roach have been planning and talking about for over 12 years now. And we've done mock scenarios and exercises where we've timed ourselves getting our stuff in our vehicle ready and we can go. And one thing which is needed, especially when you're considering being mobile in a time of crisis, is it's the same old thing with the bushcraft community. The more you know, the less you carry. The
Yeah.
more skills that you learn, the less things and weight you have to put in that vehicle. And it's going to really serve you well. This is one of the reasons why, way back in 2012, when I started doing YouTube videos, is I wanted to spend 24 hours on my own in the woods at least once every month to practice and train in all of these different self sufficiency survival skills.
Mm.
Because one day they are going to really come in handy. And if you have got no idea of how to light a fire with 50 different ways through all of the seasons, then trust
Mm.
me, one day you're going to wish that you knew some skills. So when you think about having a vehicle, whatever it is, yeah, absolutely. Put some things in there which you believe is going to aid you transition into a simpler life. Because we have all been bubble wrapped. We have everything that we could ever want to have. When you remove yourself from that environment and that situation, all you've got is what you can get into your vehicle, and it's entirely up to you. No two vehicles and its equipment should ever be the same as anyone else. It's all dependent on how fit you are, how the budget you've got, how much space you've got to move around in, and the skills that you know. Once you can answer all of them questions, then you can start getting the stuff in your vehicle and maybe doing some dry runs and practices. Because once you've done that a few times, if and when the bad day comes, at least you can hit the ground running. Because we should all stay in our homes because it's our sanctuary. We've got everything there,
Mm.
but like Björn said, it's absolutely right. You do have to consider one day leaving it for good. and you can't take it all with you. So really think about what we've just both said, because that will absolutely save your ass one day. Because the
Yeah.
last thing you want to do is try to defend your property. Ammunition's always going to run out. Guns are going to jam. You could get overrun by loads of people, and good luck. That's all I'm saying. I would rather move before the times got really bad and be mobile, just like Bjorn said, because being mobile gives you time to think. It gives you options and choices. If you're stuck in one place, you are at risk, ain't you, mate?
Yes, and I would say that it's like goes without saying you don't leave your home if you don't have to.
Hmm.
But I think the probability of you having to, in such a situation, having to leave your home is higher than most people think. Um, but also, as you said, survival skills. It's almost it, it's it's almost, and maybe this is more an American attitude. Arrest me if I'm wrong here, but the attitude seems to have shifted there, so that no, survivalism is stupid. That seems to be the attitude. I maybe I'm wrong, but it's like
I hope
because
so.
you'll never. You think I'm wrong? Uh, you'll, but I've seen YouTubers and comments and so on. Oh, you'll never survive in the woods, and you'll starve, and you'll be in pain, and all that. Yeah, but the point is,
Whilst
if
they're
you
sat
don't
at
have a
home.
choice, you're not doing that for fun. It's like,
Yeah. It's the will to survive, and you're going to have a much better chance being mobile. I mean, it doesn't matter if anyone thinks that the UK, there's no room. Trust me. How long does it take to drive from town to town, city to city? And you're driving through ages and ages of countryside and all sorts of like woodland and moorland, and you've got the coast, you can go on a boat. If you go to mainland Europe, it's awesome. Once you get into Russia, the size of Russia, mate, if you can't disappear out there, then you're doing something wrong. But I would much rather take my chances on the road with my loved ones than sit in a house waiting for the bad guys to come, knowing full well that you have not got what you need to take them on. That's not what I'm going to do. But like I said, if you leave it too late, you're dead.
yeah,
Simple as that. You
and
need to keep
also,
your eye on the ball and move before it gets to the point where we're at risk here. It's too late.
it's like when people start starving, they become desperate, and they
Oh,
will
dear.
kill for
Yeah,
food. Um, and it's like Scandinavia, where I live. We're the same. It's the same woods as Russia. I could walk out the door, and I could walk to the Pacific Ocean through woodland, through wilderness. Actually, if you think about it, well, it's going to take a while, but it's what I'm trying to say is that it's right there. Would that be enjoyable? Well, it would be a
a
struggle.
hardship. Yeah,
Yes, but
beyond compare.
if the alternative is sitting in a, okay, I'm just painting a very dark picture here, okay? I'm not saying this is going to happen, but if the alternative had been, for instance, oh, you're going in a camp and they're going to put chemicals in you that you don't agree with, for instance, again, I'm a little bit, now we're talking, dystopia here. But
Mm.
if that was the alternative, I would rather walk through Scandinavia, through Russia, with my family, with my dogs, hunting, eating whatever I could find.
Yeah.
And it would be suffering, it would be horrible, but it would still be better than losing all freedom.
Oh God, yeah, absolutely, 100%. So this is one of the things why the more time that you spend outdoors, and not just walking and hiking, but spending time living outdoors, because once you've done that for a certain period of time, and that's all dependent on the individual. When it comes to actually doing it for real, it's not going to be such a shock, because there's people out there who will have no experience in that at all. And the chances of those people making it through, can you imagine going through Siberia in the wintertime with zero experience? their chances of survival are practically nothing
Yeah.
compared to the guy
Um,
who's spent
yeah.
time because he turned the TV off and practicing this stuff. He's got a much better chances of surviving than someone who just hasn't done anything at all.
Yeah. And I see comments sometimes. What's the point if you're going to have to live like a wild man in the woods? What's the point? But I guess we're different.
Yeah,
I will always do what I
never,
can
never give
to
up and
survive.
fight for freedom, innit?
Yeah, I will always do that. If I have to eat maggots and
Yeah,
live in some shelter in the woods, I will rather do that than die.
God, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly the same there, mate. Yeah,
Uh,
and
and not I'm not saying that we should eat insects now. That's a different topic altogether. But it's if I had to
three-letter word beginning with
survive,
W.
so
Yeah,
I would do that, and
mm,
absolutely. But we
yeah,
wouldn't have to. It's also, I mean, we should not forget that, it's like I view myself as quite experienced when it comes to the outdoors. I must have spent a couple of hundred nights in the outdoors,
mm.
or wintertime and summertime. And
And you learn a lot, don't you? The more you spend out there, you
yes,
learn a
and
lot.
it's like it's not that bad, it's like if you know what to do, if you know how to make
Yeah,
camp for the night, you shouldn't be in such a pain all the time. And it's food is an issue, okay, but let's be honest,
yeah,
you would be robbing houses and cabins on a trip like that.
mm,
In Russia, that would be more difficult because there are none, almost none,
mm.
in the interior there, of course. But now
Yeah,
again, talking
you're absolutely
dystopia.
right. No,
Yeah.
no, because I remember the last time I was out in the woods, and we always take food out with us, and I just sat there and looking at the fire as it got dark, and I just pondered and thought, how difficult if this was to happen right now, where I had no food and I couldn't go back home. Wow, what an absolute eye opener! So to have some knowledge about some of the wild edible foods that you can eat in certain areas at certain times of the year, and
Mm,
what they do to medicinally too. It's no good just picking loads of cleavers and just munching them all the time,
mm,
not fully understanding what the ramifications of certain quantities could do to the body. So again, people say, where do you find time to research all this stuff? I said, I'll tell you what, 8 hours every evening, I'm not watching that bloody telly because I'm
mhm.
reading about this stuff. And when I
Yeah.
go out, I'm trying it for myself. I'm learning, I'm getting experience. So when this time comes, you're going to be in a much better situation going forward than someone who's going, oh my god, I used to have all of these plant ID things on my phone, but my phone doesn't work, so I can't ID
Mm.
any. Ridiculous.
And also, I would like to just say that when I said you would be robbing cabins and houses, I'm not saying you should. I'm saying if you're desperate in the winter in the
Yeah,
woods and you come across a cabin, you will probably break into that cabin.
yeah.
Okay.
This is live
So
action role play, boys and girls. None of this is real. We're just
no,
talking.
no, I'm just saying that if you're desperate and you hope to find some food in that cabin, you will break into that cabin.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I
Yeah,
think
yeah,
that
yeah, for
goes
sure.
for everyone. But
Yeah,
so I'm not saying you should. I'm saying that's what's going to happen if you're starving. And the other
yeah,
thing I want to say is that maybe the most important thing, no, as important as gaining knowledge of survivalism, is staying physically fit
mm,
and mentally healthy as well. Um, but again, I see a lot of people who they have their bug out bag, and and they can't walk up the stairs without taking a break.
what a
So
shock.
it's like I'm not trying to say to make fun of those people. I'm just saying that walking for distance with a backpack should be a part of your life. If you're a prepper, if you want to be prepared, you
Yeah,
should be able to walk with a backpack, and you should be able to, you should know how heavy that backpack can be. For
yeah,
me, I'm quite physically strong, but I can't carry, well, I can, but I don't want to carry a heavy
mm,
backpack because I tend to get a headache then. So I
yeah.
go lightweight as much as I can.
No, you're
And
absolutely right.
yeah,
Yeah,
and you might have to carry stuff for other people and so on. So
mm.
fine tune your backpack and your gear. That's important too.
You have to keep it really simple as well, because
Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
done on the courses that I've done. When I'm teaching the guys who are completely new to this about what how to pack a bug out bag and what to put in it. And I says the same as what I said earlier. Every bag should be different to anyone else. You shouldn't ever have two bags the same on the planet. Everyone should be different. And that comes down to your fitness, your experience, your skills, your budget, etc. Now, once you've ticked all of those boxes, it's always going to come down to skills. The more skills that you know, the less do you carry, the less weight, the
Mm.
further you can go without any risk of injury. But the problem is, and we've all fallen into this trap over time, there's so many beautiful little items of kit which you can put in your bag. But all you really need to know is food, shelter, somewhere to sleep, medication, and protection. That's
Mm.
all you need. Okay. All of the rest of it, all of these fantastic GPS things and stuff that's heavy, technology, try your best to not have it in your kit, because it's always going to let you down when you need it the most.
You can whittle
Really
your
be good.
own out there. You can make your own smartphone.
The good thing about this phone, it doubles up as a fire as well. If I can open it.
Yeah,
Yeah. See, how many smartphones do you know which you can cook food on?
only that one.
And your one, when you're really cold, you can set fire to it and keep warm. So we both switched on, mate.
Yeah, well, if it annoys me too much and I get too many people calling me on my wooden smartphone, I will set fire to it. I promise.
Absolutely. Yeah, you
I
can.
want to say something. I'll make myself a little bit unpopular. 100-liter backpack, or I saw one 120-liter backpack.
Hmm,
I have 6 national records in the deadlift. I would never carry such a big backpack. You're
hmm.
going to be in a world of pain.
Yeah.
Not maybe not the first day, but after a week, you're going to beg for
Yeah.
mercy. It's just
Those
too much.
unnecessary injuries too. Yeah.
Yes, and if it also will put you at risk to injuring your uh, calves, your ankles,
Yeah.
and so it's just please moderation.
Mm.
60 liters is more than enough.
Yeah.
I'm just that's please.
I always say like a Goldilocks zone, which I call it. Um, you, you're looking at anything between 20 and 55 liters, something like that. Anything over that is fine, but you do have to really make sure that you can walk distances. And we're not talking on a nice flat level. We're talking going up mountains, up
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
down hills, crossing rivers, all of that stuff. And if you can't do it with that great big heavy backpack, then what do you think it's going to be like in a real situation? Okay, it's going to be a complete nightmare. You could be walking down the slope, coming down from the bottom of a hill. All of that weight's behind you. You twist your ankle, you go over, you have another injury. No one is coming to help, right? You really do need to make sure that you can run if you have to. Okay, how many people are going to be able to run if they're being shot at or chased with 80, 90 pounds on their back?
No, no, it's
Trust me,
it's yeah,
it's not going to happen.
no, and also you want to be able to cover, let's see, in miles, 20 miles, like
I
30
can say
kilometers.
10 to 20 miles a day if you really, really have to,
Yeah,
and you're
I
not
would
going to
say
do it.
20.
Yeah.
20 miles, you should, with training, you should be able to cover 20 miles.
Mm.
Well, 30 kilometers,
Yeah, you're talking about 16, 17 miles, something like that. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
No, that's a fair walk, especially
Yeah, it
when
is. But if you have to, that's what you should be able
mm,
to cover per day if you're
mm.
not injured and it's not snowing.
I've done this. I've gone out to military training exercises a few years
Yeah.
ago with friends who are in the military.
Mm,
And when you consider the distance that you're traveling, the weather conditions, so you're talking summertime, it's really hot, you've got a lot of weight, you've got to walk all
mm,
of these miles, but you haven't eaten for 3 days. How far do you think you're going to go?
mm,
And the, some people laugh at me for saying things like this, but I do like to walk the walk. Now, back in 2020, 2021, I absolutely stopped eating. I didn't eat a single thing for 4 days. And all I'd done was I drunk water. That was it.
mm,
And let me tell you, on day 4, so absolutely low on energy, it would have been really hard out in that environment to collect firewood, to erect a shelter because the storm's
mm,
coming in. It's practically going to be impossible if you haven't got experience in that. So, like you said, and it is a key point which not many people scrutinize, food is the most thing because you need calories. You need calories to move distance,
mm.
especially carrying heavy weights. If you've got no food, trust me, you're not going to be covering long distances with weight. You're going to have to
Oh,
leave most of it behind because you won't be able to carry it at all.
yeah,
It's a
yeah,
nightmare.
yeah.
It's not easy.
So
It's
it's
never
it's like
supposed to be easy.
it's different when you walk like 5 miles into the woods and have a nice camp. Then you can just carry everything with you, of course, and that's
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
that's nice, and have
All the
a
comforts and
six pack
luxuries
with
that you're
beer
going to
or
want.
whatever there.
Yeah,
um, but we're not talking that. We're talking a different scenario, of course. Now, uh, yeah.
yeah.
Mm.
It's interesting. I mean, man, we could talk all night, but I think for now we're going to have to wind it up because we're some 10:15 at night over here, which means it's 11:15. I'm guessing where you are. And
Mm.
yeah, it's been fun. We can literally chat about anything, bro, because
Yeah.
both cut from the same cloth by the sound of it. Always respect our freedoms at the top of everything else. And
Mm.
long may that continue.
Yes.
Ugh. So yeah, it's been awesome. Thanks to everyone who's turned up and watched this in the live chat, and also you guys watching on the replay too. Really, really appreciate it. And like the banner says at the bottom, yes, I've done a video. It's on that channel now, and I'm going to try to be adding to it as we go forward. So yeah, let me know what you think in the comment section underneath. And if you are interested on our guest this evening, the link to his YouTube channel is below this. So check
Thank
it
you.
out, watch some of his videos. If you like it, subscribe, and I'm sure he'll be appreciative of that. So, is there anything you want to say before we sign off, mate?
Now I'm getting a phone call now, so I better answer. So yeah,
Oh, it's you. Hold on, I'll send you a text.
it's a little joke.
Oh no, yeah, we have to do it. I must admit, when I saw that smartphone and it says I can do whatever I want, I literally fell off my chair laughing. It's hilarious. Brilliant. So that's awesome. So thank you ever so much, you guys, for watching, and also the moderators, because without you guys, the chat's going to be a nightmare. So thanks very much, and thanks for showing everyone your wonderful, fantastic smartphone, mate. That's cool. Brilliant. All right. Take care, guys. Thanks for
There.
watching. And it's good night from Björn. It's good
Bye
night from
bye.
me. See you later.